Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we will discuss the law number 14 of international bestseller book of the Robert Greene, that is the 48 laws of power. So law number 14 is pose as a friend, work as a spy. Knowing about your rival is critical. Use spies to gather valuable information that will keep you a step ahead. Better still, play the spy yourself in polite social encounters. Learn to probe, uh, ask indirect questions to get people to reveal their weaknesses and intentions. There is no occasion that is not opportunity for artful spying. In the realm of power, your goal is a degree of control over future events. Part of the problem you face then is that people won't tell you all their thoughts, emotions, and plans. Carefully controlling what they say, they often keep the most critical part of their character hidden, their weaknesses, ulterior motives, obsessions. The result is that you cannot predict their moves and are constantly in dark. The trick is to find a way to probe them, to find out their secret and hidden intention without letting them know what you are up to. This is not a difficult this is not as difficult as you might think. A friendly friend will let you secretly gather information on friends and enemies alike. Let others consult the horoscope or read tarot cards. You have more concrete means of seeing into the future. The most common way of spying is to use another people. The method is simple, powerful, but risky. You will certainly gather information, but you have a little control over the people who are doing the work. Perhaps they will ineptly reveal your spying or even secretly turn against you. It is far better to be the spy yourself, to pose a friend while secretly gathering information. The French politician Talleyrand was one of the greatest practitioners of this art. He had he had an uncanny ability to worm secrets out of people in the polite conversation. Throughout Talleyrand's life, people said he was a conversationalist, yet actually said very little. He never talked about his own ideas. He got others to reveal theirs. He would blurt out what seemed to be a secret, actually something he had made up, then watch his listeners reactions during social gathering and innocuous encounters. Pay attention. This is when people guards are down. By getting people to talk, you can make them reveal things. The brilliance of the maneuver is that they will mistake your interest in them for friendship, so that you not only learn but you also make allies. Nevertheless, you should practice this tactic with caution and care. If people begin to suspect you are warming secret out of them under the cover of conversation, they will strictly avoid you. Emphasize friendly chatter, not valuable information. Your search for gems of information cannot be too obvious, or your probing question will reveal more about yourself and your intention than about the information you hope to find. A trick to try in spying comes from La Rochefort, called who wrote sincerity is found in very few men, and is often the cleverest ruses. One is sincere in order to draw out the confidence and secrets of the other. By pretending to bare your heart to another person, in other words, you make them more likely to reveal their own secrets. Give them a false confession and they will give you a real one. Another trick, another trick was identified by the philosopher author um, Schopenhauer, who suggests vehemently contraindicating people you are conversation with as a way of irritating them, stirring them up so that they lose some of the control over their words. In their emotional reaction they will reveal all kind of truths about themselves, truth you can later use against them. Law number 15. Crush your enemy totally. All great leaders since Moses have known that a feared enemy must be crushed completely. Sometimes they have learned this the hard way. If one ember is left alight, no matter how dimly it smolders, a fire will eventually break out. More is lost through stopping halfway than through total annihilation. The enemy will recover and will seek revenge. Crush him not only in body but in spirit. In your struggle for power, you will stir up rivalries and create enemies. There will be people you cannot win over who will remain your enemies no matter what. Such enemies wish you ill. There is nothing they want more than to eliminate you. If in your struggles with them you stop half or even three quarters of the way out of mercy or hope of reconciliation, you only make them more determined, more embittered, and they will someday take revenge. They may act friendly for the time being, but this is only because you have defeated them. They have no choice but to bide their time. The solution have no mercy. Do not take their hatred personally. Crush your enemies as totally as they would crush you. Ultimately, the only peace and security you can hope for from your enemies is their disappearance. Mao Tse-tung knew the importance of this law. In 1934, the communist leader and some 75,000 poorly equipped soldiers fled into the desolate mountains of western China to escape Chiang Kai shek's much larger army in what has since been called the Long March. Chiang was determined to eliminate every caste communist, and by a few years later, Mao had less than 10,000 soldiers left. By 1937, in fact, when China was invaded by Japan, Chiang calculated that the communists were no longer a threat. He chose to give up the chase and concentrate on the Japanese. 10 years later, the communists had recovered enough to rout Chiang's army. Chiang had forgotten the wisdom of crushing the enemy. Mao had not. Chiang was pursued until he and his entire army fled to the island of Taiwan. Nothing remains of his regime in mainland China to this day. The goal of total victory is an axiom of modern warfare and was codified as such by Karl von Clausewitz, the premier philosopher of war, analyzing the campaigns of Napoleon Clausewitz wrote, "We do claim that direct annihilation of enemy's forces must always be dominant consideration. Once a major victory is achieved, there must be no talk to rest of breathing space, but only of pursuit, going for the enemy again, seizing his capital, attacking his reserves, and anything else that might give his country aid and comfort. The reason for this is that after war come negotiation and the division of territory. If you have only won a partial victory, you will inevitably lose in negotiation what you have gained by war. The solution is simple: allow your enemies no option, annihilate them, and their territory is yours to carve. The goal of power is to control your enemies completely, to make them obey your will. You cannot afford to go halfway. If they have no option, they will be forced to do your biddings. This law has application for beyond the battlefield. Negotiation is the insidious viper that will eat away at your victory. So give your enemies nothing to negotiate, no hope, no room to maneuver. They are crushed, and that is that. Be realistic. If you are not ruthless with your enemies, you will never be secure. And if you are not in a position to do away with them or banish them from your presence at least understand that they are plotting against you and pay no heed to whatever friendliness they feign. Your only weapon in such a situation is your own wariness.